Hey guys, welcome back to the arena. And I made some changes here to the Jeskai Soldiers deck that I've been playing with here. Let's take a look here. I kind of wanted to get it set up and ready for best of 3. So I built a sideboard and made a couple changes to the main deck. It's been still doing great, having a lot of fun. I will say that the Is It Prowess deck is a really tough matchup, especially in best of 1. And, you know, I think that part of the reason for that is it's so fast. And if we're on the play, like, we're doing great, but it can be pretty rough coming from behind. So kind of with that in mind, some of the big changes that I made, I did take out 3 of the 1-drops, removing the Dryad Soldier. And I think that's going to be kind of nice because it makes room for 2 copies of Joust Through, which has been really great once I added it to the board. This is basically an instant for 1 white mana, does 3 damage to target attacking or blocking creature, and you gain a life. The life gain is minor, but it is absolutely relevant, especially considering how much damage we're taking from mono red decks. And this deals with most of the big threats. The one creature that kind of dodges this, unless they've got absolutely nothing, is Drakecatcher. And Drakecatcher in Is It Prowess has been a complete monster. That's just a really tough card right now. So that's one of the best cards. Most lists, I think, are running 2 copies, but I wouldn't be surprised if you see lists starting to run up to the full play set. So we made room for 2 copies of Joust Through in the main deck. Still keeping the full playset here of Requisition Raid. If you want to look at kind of the earlier videos, I'll have a link to the playlist here where you can see me talk about each card and what it does. The other change is I added 2 copies of Coppercoat Vanguard to give us even more pump main deck, which has been great. And then I shaved a copy of Harbin, just because there were some situations where having 4 copies was almost too many. So going down to 3, we're going to try it out, see how it feels. But with all the pump that this deck has kind of already, we have like 4 copies of Requisition Raid, which can pump. You've got the Coppercoat Vanguard, which pumps all the humans, which is every creature except for Leonin Vanguard and Valiant Veteran. And then you've got the Veteran, which pumps all soldiers, which is every creature except for Immodane's Recruiter and Knight Errant of Eos. And then 3 copies of Harbin to give the big pump and flyover. And then we have Immodane's Recruiter itself, which also pumps and gives haste. And then we have 4 of the fortified beachhead lands, which can also pump the team. In addition, if they deal with a Valiant Veteran, we can recast it from the graveyard and exile it to pump all of our soldiers again. So lots and lots of pump, which I think is one of this deck's major strong points. Okay, so to look at kind of the sideboard, I wanted to build a pretty heavy sideboard to deal with all the aggressive decks, especially because Is It Prowess is taking up anywhere from like a 1/5 to a full quarter of the metagame right now. And so it's just an absolute monster deck. It's doing really well, and it's basically just showing up everywhere. So we have 2 more copies of Joust Through in the board to give us additional ways of dealing with like Slickshot Show Off, coming in for lots of damage, or just pretty much any other aggressive deck. We also, I put in 1 copy, a singleton of Authority of the Consuls, just because this effect is really powerful against mono red, Is It Prowess, and I wanted to have room for other stuff, but I think 1 copy is nice because the effect is pretty powerful. Also 3 copies of Brightblade Stoat, which is a 2/2 first strike lifelink weasel soldier. So it gets all the buffs from soldiers, it's first strike, and has lifelink. So that I'm thinking will be pretty good. It's sort of untested right now, but I think it's going to be great. In addition, we also have a singleton copy here of Linden, the Steadfast Queen, which is not a soldier but is a human. And it's 3/3 vigilance for 3 white mana, and then whenever a white creature you control attacks, you gain 1 life. So nice way to hopefully stabilize the board against mono red, gain some life. And because it's a human, it's easy to cast, or easier to cast. Just because most of the time with our Cavern of Souls and Secluded Courtyard, we're going to be naming human anyways. We'll probably just keep like 1 land able to make soldiers for like Leonin Vanguard or Valiant Veteran. In addition, against aggressive decks, I also have 2 copies of Voice of Victory. And this is a really nice card because it's a human, so it gets a lot of the benefits of being a human, easier to cast. It's a 1/3 with Mobilize 2, which means that when it attacks, you create 2 tapped and attacking 1/1 red warrior creature tokens, and then sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. So unfortunately, they're not soldiers, but we'll take it. But the really big part about this card is that the text below that, your opponents can't cast spells during your turn, which is enormous. And playing on the other side of the board of this card, I've definitely lost games when I just didn't happen to read the text on it and then realized I couldn't cast any spells. And so you will steal some games just from that alone. Also, the 1/3 is pretty nice as an early kind of roadblock against mono red and Is It Prowess? And then this is also a really great sideboard card against, more controlling decks, blue-white control, Jeskai control, anything with tricks. So any kind of like the Kieran deck where they're bouncing all kinds of stuff and doing things at combat speed. It's just a really nice effect. Also, this is really good against the Omniscience deck because it turns off Ifara's Dispersal, which is like one of their only ways to interact with you on your turn. For the other cards in the board, I have 3 copies of Anointed Peacekeeper. So this is one of your best answers against like mono black, where they have all kinds of big hitters like Shieldred that come down on turn 4, or the what's the 6/6 demon that has like the time counters on it. At any rate, just a way of like staving off like Day of Judgment, board sweeping effects. Just being able to buy yourself an extra turn or 2 is really nice. So this is a 3/3 human cleric, vigilance, and then when this comes into play, you look at an opponent's hand, choose any card name, and then spells your opponent's cast with the chosen name cost 2 more to cast, and activated abilities of sources with the chosen name cost 2 more to activate, unless they're mana abilities. So this could even be useful if they have like some card in play that has an activated ability, and just making it more expensive can still win you games. But it's a nice body. I've thought about whether I want to have this against like mono red or is it, but it's a little bit too slow. So I'm a little bit on the fence there. Maybe the vigilance is great, but ideally this is kind of, I think, a bigger target for like blue-white control, the domain deck that's trying to like board wipe on turn 4, mono black. So yeah, 3 copies of that on the board. 1 copy of Rest in Peace. I think, there might be other options where you can, I think there's like the 1 mana artifact that gets rid of the art at instant speed, and maybe that'll be better overall. But Rest in Peace is a super powerful effect, and if they don't have an answer for it, this can just steal a game against any kind of graveyard strategy deck. So 1 copy of Rest in Peace, and then I have 2 copies of Cathar Commando, which pretty much is going to be brought in against any kind of like enchantment centered deck, or any kind of like white control deck that tries to use temporary lockdown to win the early game. So we have a full play set of Requisition Raid to deal with it, and then 2 more copies of Cathar Commando, which we can search up with Knight Errant of Eos to help give you even more answers to deal with temporary lockdown. And I gotta say that like, since playing with a playset of Requisition Raid, I used to just like live in complete fear of blue-white control, and just the moment that they would do lockdown and I would just like lose the game on the spot. this is a game changer. This is just so good against that deck. And being able to get rid of it and then put a +1/+1 counter of all of your guys that were hidden under the lockdown is really nice. So those are the changes. Still running 21 land. We did make the deck a little bit more expensive in the 2-drop slot, so this is going to be just kind of feeling it out. But let's go ahead and jump into a couple games. And this is ideally kind of what I'd like to do is be able to set it up so that you can take this deck and then maybe run it in like a best of 3 standard event to start grinding out some points for the play-in events, which is kind of the main goal. Okay, definitely going to be on the play. Opening hand looks great. We've got 3 land. We don't have blue mana, but we have a Mirix, so happy to keep. We'll lead out with the Inspiring Vantage and look to drop a Veteran turn 2. We could always pick up, like if we draw another 1-drop here, I'll probably just drop 2 1-drops. Okay, Vantage looks good. Now, here's an interesting... they probably have cut down here, so I think I'm going to attack and then play Veteran after combat, even though we'd get the extra damage if we play it first, just to see if they use cut down on Officer. So I'm not sure if this is the best play, and it'll make us look like we're bad players here, but I'm using that there to essentially try to smoke out the cut down if they have it. They didn't fall for it, or they didn't have it. But, you know, that's the kind of like minor play that you might consider that potentially could you know, pay dividends. All right, now we've got access to blue. And yeah, I think we just Imidane's Recruiter here. They probably have like removal for Veteran, but I don't want to just play like a 1-drop here. I think we just go Recruiter. And then next turn we can set up to start like hopefully drawing into more creatures, see what they do. Okay, well now we will lose the Officer, but we have an extra Officer and that's fine. I could see the argument for letting the Veteran go there, but partially just because we can bring it back from the graveyard, but it's a great effect and I want to keep it around, especially if they have like the 5 mana board wipe for power 2 or less, whatever it's called. Just name human here, and then we'll just get Officer. We could have also played Mirix here. I think it's a little too weak, though. I want to get Officer going. Like, we do open this up for removal, but I think I still want to do it this way. It threatens a little bit more. This is a little bit of a tough matchup, game 1, because they have a full play set of Revenants. Let's see what they've got. Another Revenant, okay. I think what we want to do here is we just want to search and play Vanguard, so I'll just play the Battlefield Forge this turn. And then we'll just go ahead and push with Officer. Yeah, I'd be very surprised if they offer the trade here. Yeah, Revenant is super good against us for sure. So I think we just want Vanguard to be able to try to race on life. Because they're putting us on a pretty serious clock right now. Okay, so now we can go Vanguard into Knight Errant. And then just try to play as many cards as possible here. Okay, Vanguard is good. And I think we just want to keep gaining as much life as possible. So next turn we can pump with Veteran unless we draw something better. But yeah, these Vanguards are doing work. Okay, there it is. Archfiend of the Dross. I think we want to just pump here instead of going for Veteran or going for Officer. So if we send everyone, God, they're at 24, such a beating. We can't just keep sitting here and taking it. Like we're facing, oh, actually I think we're just dead. Never mind. Because yeah, we're just at 12. They just swing back. Oh well. Maybe they won't see it, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. So I think we definitely bring in Joust through for the Corsi Revenants. They've got the Shieldred. So we definitely want to bring in Peacekeeper and probably also Joust through for their Revenants. I do kind of like Voice of Victory here just to be able to turn off any like instant speed removal on our turn so there's no tricks. And it's a decent value card. What do we cut? Raid is still decent because it's like they have the enchantment that makes a 6/6 demon and helps them draw cards, which they will typically play. Although they might board it out because it is kind of slow. We can use this to get rid of that and then pump our team. Just trying to think if it's better to cut creatures. This is also good because if they have the 5-mana board wipe based on creature power, getting our creatures out of range with Requisition Raid is kind of nice. I'm just not sure what we cut. Like, reinforcements is good in order to get Knight Errant of Eos going, but it is pretty weak in general against them. If we cut raid, I'm not sure about this. This is kind of all new territory here. Because I think we just want to have as many creatures as possible for Vanguard. Harbin is probably less good against them just because they have so much removal. So maybe we cut Harbin here. But like, Harbin is also a nice way to push through. I think I'm just going to cut Harbin and then just try it out this way. Might also bring in Stoat over reinforcements. It's like the life does seem to matter quite a bit. All right, let's try that. I think actually I want Linden in there as well, so maybe cut the last. Yeah, I'm not really sure. Still working on the board for this one. Okay, opening hand looks good though. I think part of the other reason I wanted to cut Requisition Raid is because we have a full play set of Joust through. We want to just make sure we have enough creatures to kind of do stuff, and so we don't want to have like really clunky hands with just a bunch of spells and no creatures. Because this is still kind of a creature-based deck. Okay, that's a nice pickup. Again, here I think I'm just going to offer the attack, just on the theory that they might have a cut down. Okay, now we can go for Peacekeeper. Yeah, they are still running the Demon Portal here, the Unholy Annex. So, what is this? Oh, I guess that's okay. It's good for like low to the ground stuff, but yeah, I guess we want to get rid of Blot Out. I'm not terribly worried about Annex right now because they need 5 mana to really get it going. So I think maybe we just go for Blot Out. So I think we could go like Vanguard into Knight Errant, but then they could blow up 3 of our 1-drops on their turn with Filigree Silex. So I think we just want to go, I think we want to attack first since we have Vigilance, and then play 1 Vanguard to make sure we can get a Convoke of 3 to be able to find haste Immodane's Recruiter. Oh, and actually, you know what? I should have played this first because we would have gained a life. That was a mistake. But I don't want to play both here just because they would get a pretty decent blowout with the Filigree Silex. Yeah, and there's Recruiter, so that's a nice hit. They probably still just blow it here. I guess they've got Blast Zone also. Maybe they just get rid of it and then they use like Blast Zone to set up for Peacekeeper. That's probably their play. Unless they drew into like more removal. Like they really want to play this and they'll start drawing cards, but it's super risky. Oh, you know what? They don't have enough for Blast Zone. That's great. So we could go Vanguard plus Recruiter. So we'd be pushing 3, 6, 11. That'd be lethal. They could Blast Zone to get out of lethal, but we get them super low. Could also try to set up next turn with like Bright Blade and spend all of our mana. It's like if they have another removal spell. Yeah, I think I'm actually gonna go for it here. Get them to Blast Zone if they're down a land. That's pretty sweet. It all really just depends like what these two cards are. Yeah. Okay, they didn't have it. All right, so I think maybe I cut Resolute Reinforcements number 4 for Linden and just try to go a little bigger. Admittedly, it does make like Vanguard a little worse, and it's a little harder to cast Knight Errant, so that's one concern. But like life does matter quite a bit. It's kind of stretching the mana base a little bit here. And if we know that they're still keeping in those the demon portals, we might want to bring in Requisition Raid again, because if that gets going, it can be pretty nasty. Yeah, I think I'm actually just gonna keep like one of these reinforcements in, just to kind of try to have a little bit of early game. I don't know, it's not perfect, but maybe I'll shave one stoat and just kind of go 50-50 here, just to give us a decent chance of going into Knight Errant. Just because we have 21 land, so I don't want to like super load our 3-drop slot. I guess we lead out with Descendant of Storms. If we think that they have cut down here, maybe we just go for Vanguard. But like if they don't, this is definitely a weaker play. I think we just go for the Descendant of Storms, honestly. If they have it, it's unfortunate. They've got it, of course. So like if I knew 100% that they had cut down there, I would have played Vanguard. But actually, given the fact that they're bringing in Silex, we should probably keep the Requisition Raids in. Not sure how good these Bright Blade Stoats are going to be. Like, notably, they are not pumped by Coppercoat Vanguard, which would be great if we had it here. But we've got Joust through, so I'm not super worried. Gonna make it seem like we've got nothing. Or at least not much. We could have just like waited to joust through on their turn. Actually, yeah, because now they get the 2-for-1 on the Silex. Silex is pretty good, honestly. Yeah, that Silex was really good for them. Okay, so they have Renew, so they can put a counter on... Alright, they can exile it to give a counter. They could give this thing like lifelink. That's disgusting. Gix's Command, yeah. Wow, and they've got Edict and Cut Down. Gotta stop Command here. But Revenant is super good. And now they can just cut down into Edict and set up Command. Yeah, that's going to do it, unfortunately. Okay, so yeah, mono black is pretty rough. This hand looks pretty good. Happy to go like Vanguard into reinforcements. Set up for Harbin. So we could be up against the Omniscience deck here. Oh, I guess this might be like Jeskai control. Let's name human. Part of the reason we want to name human is it gives us access to red mana for Imidane's Recruiter, and we can already use this to cast any soldier in the deck. So we'll do this main phase to give this +1/+1 and a life. Okay, so it is Omniscience deck for sure. And all they have is Afara's Dispersal and Temporary Lockdown in order to... That's the only way that they have to interact game one. And they're just trying to go for the turn 4 setup. So here we just want to push as much as possible. I think we just go for like reinforcements, then next turn play Harbin. Let that resolve. Oh man, they've got the turn 4. Because yeah, I don't think we don't have enough to push for game here, unfortunately. If they have Abuelo's Awakening in hand, we're just dead. That was a nice pickup. Well, we've got to play like they don't have it. They untap and just win right here. Yep, there it is. I guess we'll give them a minute just to see if they've got the full combo, but they most likely do. Or they can dig to find it. It did happen one time I was playing against someone where they got the Omniscience in play on turn 4, but then like ran out of steam and just couldn't get there. So it does happen. It's good to wait just a little bit to make sure they've got it. But yeah, they definitely have it now. Okay. That's enough. All right, so against this deck, we want Rest in Peace. We also want Commando because we can respond at instant speed to get rid of the Omniscience. They will be able to cast one spell, but if they don't have Counterspell or a second Omniscience, this can also help us still win. We'll take out the Jousters. They don't really do anything here. We definitely want Peacekeeper and also Voice of Victory to turn off Afara's Dispersal. What do we cut? So Requisition Raid is good because they do run Lockdown. We might want to honestly cut Nightmare of Eos. I mean, it's really good, but it's just like it's a value card and this is a race. We may not have time to... It's never a bad card. But I think that it's such just a dead out race that we just want to push. I think we want all of our 1-drops. Man, maybe cut like a Harbin. I think I like everything else. And then I suppose actually Reinforcements is a little weaker without the... But it's also good with Harbin. So maybe we just cut Reinforcements here and just kind of run it like this. I'm not sure if this is the right build for it, but we'll try it. Okay, no Omniscience yet. We could double spell here. Since we've got the Requisition Raid, we're not super worried about Lockdown. But slowing Lockdown is still good. Like Abuelo's Awakening is the card we want to like 100% stop. But like there's a lot of... I could see an argument for doing both of these. I think I'm just going to try to like push damage here a little bit, so I'm going to play both of these out. if they have the lockdown, it's kind of annoying. It takes a turn off. But since they don't have Omniscience in the yard yet, I think I'm going to go for it this way. If they don't have lockdown, we're in a really good place. So now they're probably just trying to set up for the turn 4 Awakening. But we've got Peacekeeper to turn that off. They have Afara's Dispersal, but double Copper Coat is actually pretty good against that. So now I guess they can bounce our Vanguard. I suppose if we go Requisition Raid here and pump, let's see, 4, 8, 13. Not quite enough because they can bounce our Vanguard. So I think we just go for the Peacekeeper here. Just slow it down. Yeah, they had lockdown. They have the Awakening. They want to go Awakening next turn. So we turn that off. They do have Day of Judgment, which is annoying. Yeah, it's pretty good. We got to do Awakening or we just lose, though. And they didn't have the Dispersal, so I suppose we could have gone for like the raid, just push to win. So unfortunately, we are giving them a turn to kill everything. Oh, this is annoying. Yeah, now they've got Day into. Oh, it's so annoying. Now they're still going to win. So I guess moral of the story is just go for it and hope they haven't got it. Yeah, well. That's heartbreaking. I suppose we could have gone for like Day of Judgment and then hope they ran out of gas, but it's so unlikely that would happen because they can draw a billion cards here. Now they're just trying to play around Counterspell. Yeah, and that's it, unfortunately. There's the invasion. I think that's it right there. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of these sideboard plans, I don't really know. I'm still kind of like trying to work it out. So it'll probably be a shifting sideboard. Okay, opening hand looks good. Lead out here. I think let's lead out with Vanguard because we can go into Descendant plus Officer for next turn. And I think we want Vanguard because it'll have a 2 toughness in addition to 2 power. That way, if they had like a 1 power blocker, we could just attack through. Okay, that's a nice pickup. Let's name human with this one. If they have lockdown next turn, that's pretty rough. But I think we just push. This is not a deck that holds back. That's interesting. I expected the get lost. Okay, they did have the lockdown. I suppose they didn't want the veteran in the yard. That kind of makes sense. Now we just hope to draw into a requisition raid. Okay. Can go ahead and start trying to rebuild an army here a little bit. Yeah, there is Beza. Veteran doesn't really do anything right here. Kind of tempted to just go for the Murex here. It's pretty minor. Yeah, we really need requisition raid to get back into this game for sure. Okay, that's a nice pickup. Now we can go recruiter for trained troops and set up. Present another board here. Okay, there's the day. Which is annoying, but we still have stuff to do. Okay, now we can do this and start making tokens. Problem is they make more tokens than they make them better. Ooh, that's a beating. think we're just making more tokens. We need kind of a Hail Mary here. Yeah, this is pretty much over. I think we just take it, honestly. I don't think it actually matters. Yeah, Merc just dead in the air. They've got too many blockers here. I think we're just dead. I mean, that's a good one. That is a good one. If we get rid of this plus Recruiter. Okay, we get rid of this, give everything +1/+1, and then Recruiter. I don't think it's enough. Let's see, what do we get? 4 more creatures, pump everything, essentially +2/+2. They can make another blocker, so they have 5 blockers. We have 9 creatures. Actually, everything gets +3/+2. I don't want to do the math. I just want to, let's just see what happens here. All right, so we'll do this and this. Here, here. I think we might still be dead, but it's pretty impressive at the very least. So 5 blockers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we're a little bit short, unfortunately. So yeah, if we knew that we were going to be a little bit short, and we could have figured it out, we could have hidden the trick since we've got another game coming here. But yeah, it's fun. All right, so we're bringing in the Cathar Commandos for sure. What else do we want? Authority to Councils is actually decent against them just because they make all those stupid tokens. And having them come in tapped is kind of a thing. I don't know if it's good enough to bring it in, but it's a consideration. I think we want Peacekeeper for Day of Judgment. What do we cut? We want to keep in Requisition Raid for sure. I like pretty much all of our 2-drops. Reinforcements is good to go and get that, which helps us with Recruiter. Vanguard can also pump Knight Errant to push through Beza, which is sort of nice. I don't think Joust Through does too much, so I think we can cut that. Yeah, I don't know what to cut here. Maybe cut like... one drop and like some reinforcements. I'm not really sure, to be honest. I think I'm just going to do it like that. Okay, hand looks good. Potentially nice, like 1, 2, 3 play here. I think since we don't have Niter in our hand, and we could play it anyways, I think I'm just going to go for the Vanguard play here. Like, I could see an argument for going like reinforcements, then like Vanguard next turn, but I think this is fine. Same thing here, we could go for like reinforcements. We could also just go for recruiter. Since they're at 17, I think I'm going to go for reinforcements here. It's about the same damage-wise, and if things kind of spiral out of control, we can always try to go long with trained troops. Okay, and then we're just gonna do the pretty obvious reinforcements play, but that's fine. Okay, this is nice. Requisition rate is gonna be great here. It's a nice pickup. We could even go play Descendant, Requisition Raid plus Pump the Team. That feels pretty good. Now, if they have Lockdown, it's kind of annoying, but getting rid of this thing is super important, I think. If they don't have Lockdown or Day of Judgment here, I mean, they probably have Day, yeah. I think we could go Reinforcements main phase just to be able to use this token. Because we're only pushing, well, we could push 8 next turn, I suppose. If we go like end of turn, they do nothing. We go like reinforcements into recruiter, into hit with this. That could be lethal if they don't play any creatures. Maybe we sit. Yeah, I'm glad we didn't play this main phase now. Then I think we just train troops. And they have the lockdown, okay. I guess we could have played Recruiter there to block the Innocence. Yeah, they still get this back. That's annoying. Yeah, that lockdown was very well timed. So maybe we should have let their Caretaker's talent go. That's just kind of... I don't know how we should have played it there. Yeah, this is pretty bad. And now they get tons and tons of value with Enduring Innocence. Oh my god. This game is definitely spiraling out of control. Whew. Yeah, this is pretty much over at this point. They're drawing 3 cards a turn. Yeah, we're just going to call it. This was a really rough session. Might have to go back to the drawing board on this deck. So recap here. Let's take a look. This deck performed really well in best of 1. It did run into some issues against Jeskai Prowess. I think Jeskai Prowess is probably just a better deck, especially now that Draycatcher has been kind of discovered a little bit. But it is a really fun deck. I do love it. I love soldiers. I love humans. So it's fun to play, especially in best of 1. Best of 3, it definitely needs some work. The sideboard probably needs a lot of work. And especially against control, if we don't have super good answers. Like Peacekeeper is very much like a tiny band-aid over like a gaping wound. That is the control matchup. But I think the deck has possibility. So yeah, overall, a lot of changes probably need to be made, especially if you're going to take it into best of 3. But in best of 1, it is pretty fun. And at some point, I'll have to look at, I put together some of the other like big decks that have been doing well. I like found versions of them in like the top 250. You can look up like top 250 standard metagame decks, and these are, you know, all by different creators here. Some of them are like first place lists, but these are some of the major matchups just to keep an eye out for. So like this Is It Prowess deck, I think went with 9-1. This is by, oh god, let's see, who is this? By Quavio is the name of the player who built this deck. And this was a 9 wins, 1 loss. So this is probably a really nice place to start with Is It Prowess. I don't know the ins and outs of the deck, but it does seem to be a lot like Is It in previous iterations for other not standard, but other types of you know, more extended formats. And essentially you've got 16 creatures, and then you have lots and lots of cantrips with like Opt and Sleight of Hand. So I think you're probably going to see like more Drake Catchers, this being shifted up to like a 4-of, which is, this card is such a nightmare to go against, especially as like the Soldiers deck that I've got. So anyways, kind of a weird segue, but some last thoughts, and we will see you for the next video. So thank you guys so much again for watching. We'll see you next time.